Welcome back for more talk about horror movies. I am very excited about this episode today, like really super excited. I am going to talk to you guys about my favorites, the ghost movies. Yay! And this latest, based on a true story, haunted house movie, The Conjuring. I love haunted house movies. Why? Because they scare me. They get into my brain and push my buttons, and all of a sudden, every single boogeyman I ever believed in as a kid becomes real again. That's terrifying. I also love ghost movies because they come from such a rich literary tradition. I spoke last time about the slasher genre and its rules. Those rules, while sure they are story elements, are also very much so rooted in the language of cinema. With ghost stories, though, we have traditions that are older than film. I'm talking like mythological Joseph Campbell stuff here. So why do we love ghost stories? There's something about the unknowable, the uncanny. Ghost stories push the limits of our belief and defy our search for rational explanation. They evoke a feeling of primitive fear. Tangent! We can also bring some Freud into this. When we're talking about primitive fear, are we talking about primitive fear as Freud talks about it? According to Freud, the uncanny is anything that reminds us of our earlier psychic state, things that have been repressed. And then he goes on to talk about castration, because he's Freud. But then why is this different for ghost movies than it is for, say, slashers or other horror movies? This is where we come back to fantasy. Our brains know the difference between fantasy and reality. Slasher movies appeal to the adrenaline junkie in us. It's very physical. Ghost stories are different because in real life, we can believe in ghosts. We may know that the old lady in The Conjuring is a fictional creation, but she might not be. It's because these ghost movies reach for a sense of realism that they affect this experience of the uncanny. How does The Conjuring fit into this tradition of ghost stories? Is it successful? Does it scare us? Yes. First off, I love that it's clearly aware of the genre. It's self-aware, but not in an obnoxious, kitschy way. Through the decision of the filmmakers to make this film very cinematic in style, I'm talking camera movements, framing, etc., as well as very obvious meta-references to not only other fictional ghost movies, but to true life ghost hunter shows. The Conjuring lets us know that it knows what it's doing. Every decision is very consciously made. This in turn leads to an excellent series of setups and payoffs. Take, for example, the game the girls like to play. Hide and clap. The first time we see them play this game, it serves two purposes. One, it introduces us to this family. We meet these girls in their pre-terror existence. We see how they all interact. And this is important. It motivates a lot of the action that happens later in the film. It makes us actually care about these characters. So that's one. Two, it sets us up for a really great scare. I'll just leave it at that because spoilers, but let me just say, I'm really happy with how that played out. A thing that gets me about a lot of modern horror movies, and The Conjuring is guilty of this too, is in the design of their ghosts. Rather than opting for subtlety, which I would argue is scarier, they go more for the grotesque. I like the grotesque, and by all means, if you're going there, go for it. The problem I find is in trying to marry the overly designed to be scary with the otherwise relative realism found in these movies. Ghosts. What The Conjuring does so well is it returns to an old school sensibility. For the most part, it doesn't rely on ghoulish figures. Its tension arrives from things like creaking doors, mysterious claps in the closet, a dog barking at nothing, a little girl pointing to a corner insisting there's somebody there when nobody else can see a thing. That's freaking terrifying. Where The Conjuring starts to kinda lose me is in its secondary, or I guess really primary story, and that's the storyline of Ed and Lorraine Warren. So Ed and Lorraine are paranormal investigators, real life ones actually, and this story is based on one of their cases. Whether or not you believe in their claims in real life, it's hard to argue that they don't make for compelling stories. But where The Conjuring builds a really effective emotional connection to the family being haunted, we never quite get there with Ed and Lorraine, the family doing the investigating. I would say that part of this is because too much of their story is told to us rather than shown to us. We're given a lot of information in a short amount of time, and I'm not sure that the movie ever really earns the connections that it's asking us to make. It's good, it's fun, it does a lot of things really, really well, but emotionally, it just never quite gets me there. In any case, I did like it. But what did you guys think? Have you seen it? Did it scare the bejesus out of you? Because regardless of everything else, I definitely had some funky dreams after first watching it. If you're looking for some other ghost movies to watch, here are a few others you can check out. For more of the Warrens' ghostly inspired haunting activity, there is the Amityville Horror. I would recommend the first one, the original 70s one, not so much the remake with Ryan Reynolds, and maybe not all of the sequels. One of my favorites in the genre, and this is maybe another obvious suggestion, The Exorcist. One thing I didn't mention about The Conjuring is that it's very much so based in Catholicism and the church's mythology about hauntings and demons and exorcisms and all that. So that ties it back to the Amityville Horror and The Exorcist, which are both about, demons and possessions and exorcisms. For just some good old-fashioned haunted house stories that I love, try The Haunting, based on Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, and I'm again talking about the original. Or there's The Haunting of Hell House, which is based on Richard Matheson's story. Matheson's story. I am so fired. And hell, because why not? The House on Haunted Hill, because it's William Castle and Vincent Price, and it is just the silliest, most wonderful thing ever. There you guys have it. What do you all think? Do you like the haunted house genre? Ghost movies? Have any favorites? Any recommendations I missed? Anything I should watch? I want to talk about ghost movies all of the time. Thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please like it. You can subscribe to my channel for all the horror movie talk, and for all of these in-depth thoughts and other links to all this crazy stuff that I write about all the friggin' time, check out my website, theladiesrevenge.com. Until next time, stay haunted.